We couldn't close the cruise. There's no possible way to close the cruise without having our captain hit this stage. So with that being said, let's get this show underway. Let's bring out Joe Piscopo. And in the meantime, for me, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Live long and prosper. Joe's going to get this show on the road.
Hey guys, how's everybody doing tonight? Great to see you. Oh, Dane, thank you, Dane. Thank you very much. All right, I'm doing all right. How you doing? All right, we're talking like me now. People from Canada going, how you doing, eh? So, I am honored to be here, and with all, as Dave said, and the buzz, you know, on the ship is how great you are on this maiden voyage, how great the audience is, how great the Star Trek folks are. So thank you for being so wonderful and warm, and your comments, they go right to my heart. I thank you so much. I love you so much. So, being in this theater for the 2 shows a couple nights ago was great. But what an honor, what they just said to me, would you introduce this legend who I have immense respect for. And I know if you watch Star Trek like my brother did, my brother always said, hey Joe, you gotta see this show. And I was a kid, we were in school, and then I saw, wow, I saw William Shatner, I saw Captain Kirk, I said, well, that guy is cool, man. And then I knew him from Twilight Zone, right? That's how I knew. Oh, this was like, this guy just is riveting on camera. He's riveting, and immediately, you can't take your eyes off of William Shatner. So I'm watching that, and then you jump ahead, you know, to T.J. Hooker, and he does everything, and you see him in the film. But it's Star Trek, and here we are, and not to get maudlin, and I want to bring this legend out, but I have to tell you, it started with this man. He is Star Trek. William Shatner is Captain Kirk. All of this comes from this man. So when I was honored, I do 1 episode of The Next Generation. Joe, you want to go on a cruise? I went, yep, I do, actually. I'll be there in a minute. And then I said to Dave just now, because I saw Mr. Shatner shook his hand, and I'm not going to say like, hey Bill, can I have a picture? You know, I wasn't going to be like that. I couldn't do it. Because you know what? He spent all his time with his family. He's one of the greatest family men I've ever seen, with his family the whole time. So it is an honor, it's a privilege, and a pleasure to bring on the man who started it all, William Shatner, live on stage.
No. That's good. You know, arise, my son. That's the way. So we all know Joe. Thank you so much. Please, stand up. No, stand up. We know that Joe is a funny guy. I didn't see his stand-up here, but over the years, in a long time, Joe Piscopo has been a funny guy. What you may not remember, because I'm looking at him, jeez, God, man, are you taking drugs?
No. I'm trying to look like you with your shirt off, you know, in Star Trek.
I don't know when this happened, but boy, it's terrible. So Joe, I remember before you started to build yourself, you were like a skinny Italian kid.
I guess, yeah.
And now you're a muscular Italian kid.
No, I'm trying to I'm fighting, man.
But Joe, you built yourself up. You had muscles coming out of muscles.
It was mostly an illusion, Mr. Shatner. It was mostly, I worked out, kept myself in shape, but like I said to the audience the other night, it was mostly lighting, and you had to shave,
oh, sure. Yeah.
And you had to put the baby oil on.
Can you tell me where you shaved so I can do it? Where did you shave?
Well,
I mean, how far did you go with that? Joe, you were a funny man. You're a great inspiration to everybody.
Stopped about here.
Oh, stopped about there.
I just wanted to
answer. So did you work your way up or did you work your way down?
Down, actually.
That's out. A pleasure to see you. Thanks.
Oh, an honor, Mr. Shatner. Bill Shatner, right there.
So, the gentleman running this thing said, listen, because I was in front of an audience last night, and he said, and I was introduced here, Shatner, and I came out, and he said, well, tonight, there's nobody to introduce you. Yeah, so you'll have to go on by yourself. I'll go on, I'll say I'm Shatner, and maybe they'll recognize me. I get here, and there's 2 introductions, so I mean, that's a little different plan. So, here we are, our last night. That is one of the greatest sounds in the theater. You know, an actor says, I'm dying, and they go, oh, when? That sound of ah is the most beautiful, loving sound. So you've had a good time. Right? Has anybody had a bad time? Has anybody been seasick? Like, I can't see it too well. Hands up for seasick. Ooh, boy. Did you vomit? Were you sick to your stomach? Yeah? How many days? 4.5? You just got better now that we're putting our luggage outside your door? That makes you feel better, doesn't it? You put the luggage out, oh, home. So you've had a good time on the Star Trek cruise. And from what I saw, most people, it was the first time for the cruise, right? Me too. First cruise. Yeah. Get Tom next. Tom Cruise is what I'm trying. Or Ted. We're going to Florida. That's it. That's all I got. So this is the end of the cruise, and you've met people and the Star Trek. Have you had any interpersonal relations during the cruise? Yeah? Have you met, like, the person of your dreams yet? Who? What was that? What was the significance of that? Terry Farrell. Have you met Terry Farrell? Wow. She's been doing a lot of work. She's been walking up and down the halls, I understand. Doing Star Trek cruise things, I don't know. No, she's beautiful. My gosh, she's gorgeous. So you, but I mean, surely you don't mean that you had personal relations with Terry Farrell. Did you? Anybody fall in love? Anybody get passionate about people? Was it, you'll hear some voices? Any passion out there? You got the passion. Any large, like, passionate things? Ooh. I can hardly contain myself. I've had an interesting time. I've had, it's my first cruise, and you know, when they say, would you do a cruise? And I thought, well, gee, I'd love to ship with Star Trek people. And I've written books and done documentaries, and I mean, I know Star Trek. 5-6 days on a ship with Star Trek people is asking a lot. But I thought, and they said, we've got a deck for you and a room and a thing, and I said, can I bring my family? They said, of course. So there are 14 members of my family. And they're all here, and this will make Norwegian cruise lines very happy. They all said, can we go on a cruise, you know, when all those huge boats were docked at Nassau? Thanks. I can't get to Nassau, I keep saying NASA. You know, at NASA, where they were docked at NASA, and all those people, and one of the members said, well, we were on that one, and we were on that one, but the one you really want to go on is the one that has the summer, well, the college students. What do you call it? A spring break. You want to go on a spring break cruise. That's where you want to go. No, I don't want to go on a cruise. Another Star Trek one. Would you guys go on another Star Trek one?
Yeah.
Okay, who would not go on another Star Trek cruise? Oh, listen at that. Wow, that's really good news. Well, I might. You know? If everybody was like sufficiently keyed up about it, it might be great fun. But not. We don't want to do the Caribbean anymore. Where Alaska? Alaska could be fun, but it's cold. You know, you can't sit in those chairs and watch those movies that went on endlessly. Our room reverberated with every. I could hear my voice. Turn left, and the room. It was awful to hear myself. A big bass voice. But what an interesting time I have had with, you know, Joe said, my family is everything. Actors have a problem with friends because our life is so peripatetic. Yes. That was said from my granddaughter, who we'll introduce in a moment. So I love to tease her with words. She loves to write, and she loves to talk, and words are the ways in which we convey our shaded meanings, like the Eskimos have 13 words for water, for snow. We have many words in the English language which shade our meaning and give us nuance into how we're really feeling, and it's important to know the language. This is what I keep telling Kaya. Where was I going with that? What? Going to Alaska. So it's cold. I don't know where language in Alaska came in, but it was just an errant thought, like an iceberg floating by. That's what my thought did. That was the relationship between that time. So Alaska, but to me, that's like cold, and it could be uncomfortable, and you stop at where? Hawaii. A Star Trek cruise to Hawaii with lots of time on the islands. Whoever's in the audience in management, take note. We will all be aboard a new, apparently this Norwegian pearl is a seed pearl, and will be made another pearl. Apparently it's going in for refurbishing. I've tried to do something on pearl and sea pearl, but obviously you're not with me. So we'll do another cruise at some time and try and get to Hawaii. What a great thought. So I've had this interesting time between up there where everybody looks. I see 17 people in a hot bath, and they're all looking, hey, Bill, we're here. That's insane. What? We're here, we're over here. But up there, in that room with the glasses, which you can see into, and I'm standing there naked, and somebody's, yeah, and I hear somebody say, put on some underwear. Can you see me? Yeah, go, underwear. So, between a display window and the sound at night, but the wonderful thing was there is a area what they call which they call the Haven, where the actors can go in privacy, and there's a small swimming pool and some settees and stuff where you can sit and talk and eat. And it turned out that all 14 of us, varying age from 11 to, you don't want to know. But everybody in between. I've got daughters who have children and their husbands, and one of my grandsons got married in the last year. And I'm thinking with horror, if he has a child, wow, that's, I won't go on the cruise if that happens. No, well, maybe I will. With a babe in arms. Won't that be funny? Captain Kerr with a baby. He'd be beautiful. What a sweet thing to say. It would be beautiful. I'm actually kidding. I think, you know, you learn so much. My children, Kaya, are you here? Kaya, where's Kaya? Come on up here, Kaya. She said to me, what are you going to talk about as we came up? Come on, can you find a way to come up on the stage, Kaya? She said to me, what are you going to talk about? I said, I don't know. I want to go out. I don't know. She says, talk about me. Hello, sweetheart. Here's the microphone. So you're going to speak into it. So, what about me? I'll grab it from you and talk then.
Okay.
Okay. I'll say, what a sweetheart. Gee whiz. What happened to this little girl that used to run around and think only of herself? Kaya, you're 14 years old. You're a lovely, lovely young lady. And I don't know how many of you have had the experience of watching the children grow, and like each year they reach another plateau and think, where did that previous person go? So here is Kaya, and she's meeting all kinds of people. Lawrence Krauss, for example, famous astrophysicist, and she was perfectly at ease with Lawrence, and then new friends, new people that you see, and they're all older than you, and you have the poise of a mature person.
Thank you.
Where does it come?
I don't know. My parents, you, definitely you.
You're about to hit you on the head, are you? No, your parents are wonderful, and they've taught you so well. You have ambitions.
Yes. Living.
Unbelievable. I asked her at the dinner table, she said, talk about me. I said, well, what do you know about the universe? And you said?
It's big.
So I got a granddaughter who wants to be an actress, who I saw on the stage. She was spectacular in the part she played. Spectacular, Kaya. And like every young teenager, has habits that we need to correct as life goes on.
No, not perfect.
Almost.
Yeah.
So she wants to sing and dance, and she's wonderful at it.
I don't dance.
That's not you dancing? No, I know it's your sister.
I've actually been told I'm a terrible dancer, but that doesn't stop me.
I don't know where this child came from, but you are something else. You're great. The womb? Thank you. Thank you for coming in. Wow. So I don't know whether you've had this experience, but I have 5 grandchildren, and they vary in age quite a bit. But each one of them goes through a stage. You wonder what happened, and it's a miracle that there are levels of progression, and actually they all seem to fit in the same level. Like most 14-year-olds look alike and act alike and do the same. It's really, and yet they are individual. It's mind-blowing to me to see my family change and progress and get older and become even more wonderful. So I've had an extraordinary time with my wife Elizabeth and my family, sitting around on these settees in the Haven, from breakfast through to dinner. We've been together. We were at Nassau today, and we wandered around, and we were all 14 people, a lot of people. It's like herding cats. You know, move, cat. All right, we're coming. No, what happened? Take a count. We're 13. Who's missing? So it's a life event, and everybody said, all 14 people have said that this cruise has brought everybody together even more so because of the amount of time spent on the set team. So what a wonderful benefit. And the other thing they have pointed out time and time again through these last 6 days of how kind and how generous and how affectionate all you people are. And I'm very moved that what binds us together in Star Trek has brought us together for these few days, and I'm very happy to have been here and been in your midst. So, among our midst are two people I'm going to bring up on stage that I'm really anxious for you to get to know. One of whom you know, the other you don't know, and the couple you don't know is Brad and Linda Mlan. Brad and Linda, come on up here. Jane Goodall, you know the name Jane Goodall? Yes? He works with Jane. He works with Ms. Goodall as part of his work, and I wanted him to come up with his wife and talk to me for a minute. I wanted you to be part of a show business event. I don't know what it is exactly, but you and I will discover together. Brad came to dinner, came at dinner where we were seated, and he wanted to talk to me about Jane and Gombe, where Jane Good. Is there another mic? Does somebody have another mic here? Guys, backstage, another mic? Give it to Brad. Okay, and then he'll toss it to you when the time comes. So Brad said to me just a few moments ago, would you like to work with Jane Goodall and Gombe? What?
Gombe Stream. You know the Gombe Stream. This is Jane Goodall, the woman who changed the definition of man.
What do you mean by that?
Those of you who know, she discovered that chimpanzees use tools when we thought at the time that was an exclusive characteristic of humans. And not only did they use the tools, they fashioned the tools. The tools that they were using were blades of grass. They would fish the termites out of the termite mines. And this created her legacy because she got funding, she got to stay. She worked with Louis Leakey. She became an international phenom with National Geographic, who I know you've worked with as well.
Yes.
And so I said to Mr. Shatner, I said, would you like to work with Jane? Would you like to boldly go
Don't do that.
work with Jane?
Where chimpanzees have gone before. That started the conversation. I said, wait a minute. Why don't we let the audience, whatever you're going to say to me, do it on stage, and we'll have the audience listen to an erudite gentleman couple from Boulder, from the University of Colorado Boulder. And two of my daughters coincidentally graduated from University of Colorado Boulder, and I've been there several times, and say whatever you're going to say to me. So the audience hears it at the same time that I hear it. So I thought that would be of interest to you. So now, but let me give you a little context about me. So 50 years ago, a novel was written called The Silent Spring. What's her name?
Rachel Carson.
Rachel Carson wrote The Silent Spring. And the book was the forerunner, was the trumpet to global warming. People had suspected and had taken temperature readings, and there was all kinds of talk. But this book, 50 years ago, was an instant success, and many people read it, as did I. And I had a shaft of fear of what the world could become unless we did something about it. Now, I spoke out quite often, and in England, I did an interview for something I was doing, and I was imbued with the spirit of Silent Spring, and I said, the world could come to an end. I mean, this is the harbinger of a spring that is silent, not the sound of birds and the gusts of whales blowing water. There'll be nothing. The earth will be silent if we continue to do what we're doing. This is what the book. And the guy mocked me, saying, what does the actor know about that? And I felt so badly that not only did he mock me, but he was as ignorant, writing for a big newspaper in London, that he was as ignorant as he was about the potential, and now it's become a fact, of the Anthropocene, which is man bringing about the sixth
The Anthropocene, the sixth epoch, the
epoch of destruction of the species of the earth. When that asteroid hit the Yucatan, 90% of the living matter died in the ensuing tsunamis and volcanic eruptions and the blasts of air. 90% of the earth died, but Mother Nature is completely resilient, and in the millions of years since, the life flourished once again, and mankind evolved into us. That will happen again. When we're done with the earth and we leave the earth, Mother Nature and the life force of the universe will take over, and within a very short period of time, like those movies, the science fiction movies of buried buildings somewhere, there was a society. That's going to happen unless we address the overwhelming issue of this age. Has nothing to do with the politics, has nothing to do with Russia. It has everything to do with survival of what's happening in the very near future. Within 50 to 100 years, there's no telling how high the seas of the ocean will rise. Now, address that and then talk to me as you are going to. Okay? Okay?
He
So far,
does
so
this
good?
to everyone.
Are we happy? Not yet, but you will be. Okay.
Jane's message is every life makes a difference. You have to decide what kind of difference you're going to make. You
being the world.
you being personally you
Oh,
and you.
geez,
And
I
you.
didn't know you were addressing me.
Well, you've already made a huge positive difference in the world, right? That's why we're here. Jane has already made a huge positive difference in the world. Putting the two of you together to encourage everyone to make a positive difference in the world, one person at a time, is what Teresa and I work with Jane to do, and why we want you to help us.
So how do you see that happening?
Jane travels 300 days out of the year, all over the world, and she's turning 84 in April.
That's old.
The first step to understand Jane is, of course, read her books if you can, but to go to Gombe, where it all began. Bring your grandchildren with you. See
Wow.
the space. Bring a camera crew
Really?
in tow. Tell the story. And then join her. Have you ever heard of Roots and Shoots? Anybody Roots and Shoots?
What's Roots and Shoots?
Roots and Shoots. Tell us what Roots and Shoots is.
This is Linda.
It's Teresa. But
This
I guess I could pass
This is
for
not
Linda.
Linda. Some of you thought this was Linda. This is actually Teresa.
Yes.
Okay. That's the way my mind works. It's circuitous. I come around
Well, that's
eventually,
perfect.
but it takes years.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So Roots and Shoots is, Brad mentioned that Jane's message is that everyone can make a difference, but she really targets the younger generation. So she wants kids to know that it doesn't matter if you're 8 years old, that you can get involved and you can make a difference. So she set up Roots and Shoots just for that. So it's kid-led programs, and a parent can say, hey, introduce it to their child, but the child actually runs the project. They can get their friends involved. So it has
So
to
it's a children's program to bring the message of everything we're talking about. So what are you envisioning me doing?
Jane presents all over the world, just like you. I would love to see the two of you on stage together. Now, why is this? You are the architect, one of the architects of an entire vision of the future. The reason Trek and the identity of Trek Nation that we're all part of, why we're all here, is a vision of the future that is a different one than the one that we might see for ourselves. It is one of inclusion, it is one of diversity, it is one of harmony, it is one of exploration and peace. This is Jane's message as well.
And hope.
And enduring hope and belief in the human spirit. And this is Jane's vision for the future as well. You embody that as the captain, whether you like it or not. And I'm sure you like it for all of us.
Have you spoken to Jane about what you're talking about?
We speak about this all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, so and what's the next concrete step? Tell the audience and me how this would work.
I would love for you to come to the next meeting in March.
Next meeting?
The next meeting in March, sit down with Jane. And
Where's the meeting?
It's in D.C., at her headquarters in D.C. Or we can go wherever you want. Wherever you are. Where in the world is Bill? Where in the world is Jane? We'll make
Boy, that is so interesting to me. This might be. I've got 5, but 3 youngsters, 3 11 and a 14-year-old girl children, grandchildren, and my heart is aching for what I think their lives in the future will be. We all should be thinking about that, and I belong to all kinds of environmental groups, and I'm consistently talking about exactly what we're talking about. I've admired Jane Goodall all this time. I've followed her exploits from the beginnings and the terrible things that have happened in Gombe over the years. The people in Africa, both for and against her program, and the people who don't want to believe that chimpanzees are the same, are 98%, 99% the same as us, with this 1%, some of it in the vocal cords, but they can talk in certain ways, and their nonverbal language is so profound, and what they're thinking and what their habits are, and the way they learn.
And it's not just chimpanzees. Jane works with humans.
Bonobos. and the male.
The orangutans.
Orangutans.
Habitats, forests, people, youth. The entire ball of wax.
Orangutans. You know what I'm saying? Nonverbal language. Orangutans. Yes. I am. This is
Come
what
to Gombe.
I'm coming.
We'll get Jane to come on a cruise.
We'll talk after this and figure out how to do it. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to see both of you. So that happened in front of you. I had no idea. Okay? Jane Goodall. Good Lord, what an individual. What a dedicated, overwhelming individual. A woman from England goes to Africa and begins this program. Worked with Leakey, who discovered Lucy, and all this happening in our lifetime. In our lifetime. All these discoveries. I never understood why obvious things are only like discovering people say, oh, of course. Think about plate tectonics, okay? So here is the roiling, boiling Earth, hot plasma, volcanic rock boiling, and then over 500 million years, I think, we'll get Lawrence Krauss up here who knows everything. It cools a little like crust on a, what's that dessert? A creme brulee. So like a sugary crust on the creme brulee, the crust hardens a little and it becomes the beginning of Earth. And then, because it's floating on this molten rock, the magma, it moves around. And it becomes the continents. Starts off all in one piece. Go to Wanda, the original thing. And then these continents float out. And it's, so you look at a map and you say, well, of course, South America and Africa, they fit in there. So everything fits together. It's obvious. Except nobody said anything. And then somebody said, well, look at Hawaii, for example. There's an island here, and then a couple of million years go by, and there's an island right where the other one was. And so what's happening, somebody said, is this thing, these plates are floating, and they're moving in directions, and when they hit up against each other, they form mountains and earthquakes, and these islands are popping up in a weak spot in the below the crust, and it's forming and it seems obvious. Of course, plate tectonic, but it's only been less than 100 years since somebody thought about it. All these extraordinary scientific principles that are coming in our lifetime for us to look at and absorb and say, the wonderment and the bewilderment of Earth and the sky and the universe, how it moves in strange and wondrous ways. And that's when we're looking through a telescope and what's his name says, oh look, the rings around Jupiter. And you know what? We're not the center of the universe. What? No. We're part of this, and then we're part of the large, and suddenly people are discovering we're in the tail end of some small galaxy in some place in the far end, and there's billions of this. What? We're not the center? We're not the most important? No, we're not. Whoa, swallow that. And yet, in our lifetime, in my lifetime, all these extraordinary scientific principles, quantum physics, nothing is the same. In quantum physics and Newtonian physics, it's all different. How? Why? So, I'm going to get Lawrence Krauss up here, but let me tell you about an argument. Two arguments I had with astrophysicists. I did a special. It'll be out soon. And if it has the same name that it did have when I was shooting it, it's the truth is in our stars. So I got into an argument about black energy and black matter. Black energy is expanding the universe, they say, and black matter is condensing it because of the gravity. So they're working against each other, and dark energy seems to be winning because the galaxy, the universe, is expanding and moving out, and we don't know where, we don't know what. It should be contracting, it's not. It's moving out. So, you know, in 4 billion years, it's all going to be dark. But it can't be. I mean, it just doesn't seem that way. And yet, in this minutia that we look at through microscopes, it doesn't work that way. There are all kinds of strange laws that have nothing to do with Newtonian physics. What is that? The mystery of what we're looking at. And yet, when you think of the basic principles that we look at, plate tectonics was staring us in the face. evolution staring us in the face? Of course, it works. But some guy Wallace and then what's his name discovered it. Of course, the bird with the longer bill could get the worm, and the one with the shorter one died out because the one with the longer one got more. Of course, dazzling in its simplicity. So I get into an argument with an astrophysicist, Michael deGrasse Tyson. How can you possibly know what they're talking about, Michael? When 98% of the stuff you're looking at, dark matter, dark energy, you don't even know what it is. Well, we're going to measure it, we'll get it, but you don't know it. Do you know what it is? No, we don't know it. So how can you make an observation? Then I get into a discussion with Kaku. I get in an argument with Kaku. It's a hard name to remember. I started, Kaka? No, Kaku. It's insulting. String theory. Everything's vibrating, you got little strings of energy, that's what it is. And he's arguing for string theory. He's never seen it. Oh, it's all string theory, it's running on string theory. I said, well, gee, that's interesting. Now, I used to think we're looking for the God particle. Everything's, what matter is, its finest point. It used to be the atom, then it was the molecule, then it was the nucleus, then it was the quark, then it was the bison. The Higgs bison. Yeah, we don't have it. Oh, shit. No. And now, string theory. We're going to talk to Lawrence about this. String theory. Wow, string theory. I got it. Then I go to a astrophysicist whose name that Lawrence will remind me of, who's heading a institute in London, Ontario. Sounds like Wales, right? Did you hear that, Wales? And he worked with Stephen Hawking. And he says, yeah, string theory, that's ridiculous. The universe works on what we know as 4 simple laws. Weak and strong electromagnetism, magnetism, boy, I'm remembering all of them, and what? And gravity. There's a 5th law we're looking for, and those 5 principles are what the universe works on, not on the string. So they're like children squabbling. It's gravity. No, it's string. No, it's not there. Yes, no, no. And they're arguing. They don't know. I asked Lawrence the other day, would you explain to me what space and time is? Why is it space and time? He says, well, you gotta have a playing field, which is space. And a particle of light comes through it, and that goes through time, but if you're standing over here and moving that way, the time is staying still, but over there, it's twice the time, and then explain time, space to me. They don't know what they're talking about. It's all speculation. We're trying to find the math to prove the theory. How can you prove the theory when you don't understand 98% of what's out in the universe? But he's got a great mind and a great sense of humor. Lawrence Krauss, are you here? Where are you? Come on down. Come on down. There you are. Have you got steps there? Perfect. Have we got another chair? Look at your shoes.
Yeah, look at that.
Those are really nice shoes.
They are.
Man.
For a price, they can be yours.
What size do you take?
15.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Let me see your hands.
8.5. Yeah, that's what I said.
What size are they?
8.5 or no, depending on the shoe size.
Uh-huh. Well, I was wondering how much you want for them.
From you, a lot, actually.
Come and sit down here.
Thank you. I said I was coming to your show, not that I was going to be on.
I know. I didn't want you on the show. I wanted you to. I just want to ask you
Okay, yeah.
some of these questions that have bothered me for so long.
Oh yeah. Well, we have a few hours. We can. By the way, I'm going to take advantage of one thing.
Yeah.
Brad. Okay. I've been talking to Jane for a long time to come to do a public event at my institute in Arizona, where 3,000 people come to. We've been talking about it. It might be nice to get the two of them.
Wow, what a great idea.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Yeah. Oh, you can't see anyone up here, can you?
How are we doing? Are you guys interested in what we're talking about?
Say no, and then we can go through it.
We'll talk about We'll talk about Star Trek together. We'll get to Star Trek. But I'm sort of so fascinated by these subjects.
And I think it's great that you are, because I'm serious about that, even though sometimes you get it a little wrong. But because
on the other hand,
no, it's important for people to know that cultural icons like you, and you are, that everyone should be interested in science because it's part of our culture. It's just part of our culture like Star Trek is.
Right.
And I think you embody that, and that's great. That's fantastic.
You know, I've looked at these articles and I read the articles, and it's hard to remember electromagnetism, weak and strong electromagnetism. What the hell does that mean?
It's, there's a great new book coming out about that.
That you wrote?
Yeah, it's coming out in a few months, actually.
Right. What does that mean? Strong and weak.
Well, there are 4 forces in nature that we know of. Okay, gravity, which, by the way, is the weakest force in nature.
Huh.
Even though when you get up out of bed in the morning, it seems like it's not that, but it's far, far weaker. In fact, we were talking about...
We don't want any prepared material.
I'm not going to give you any prepared material. We talked about Richard Feynman, who was a great physicist. He gave a great experiment you could do, and you should try this to show how weak gravity is. Take a friend up to the top of a tall building.
And throw them off. Okay. Then you don't have any friends.
Yeah. Okay.
And you're all alone.
Well, you were talking about how peripatetic the whole friend thing is. Anyway, so it may take like 13 stories for gravity to accelerate them all the way to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But electromagnetism stops them in a fraction of a second. They don't even make a dent in the concrete. The reason you don't fall through the floor is it's not solid. Most of it's empty space. It's the electric forces of the electrons in your hands and the electrons in the atoms that stop you. So gravity from the entire Earth takes all that distance to accelerate you down. Electromagnetism stops you in a fraction of an inch.
So what you're saying is matter is a result of electromagnetism?
Well, electromagnetism is the dominant force that determines the nature of matter, yeah. How atoms behave.
Yes or no? That matter is composed of molecules that are bound together by electromagnetism.
Sounds good to me.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
Okay, so I put that very simply, didn't I?
You did.
I didn't say fall through the floor, cut velvet, you know that joke?
And as I say, it was actually, in this case, it was actually exactly right.
No, you didn't. Okay, so that's strong electromagnetism, right?
No, that's electromagnetism is stronger than the gravity, but electromagnetism is not the strongest force. There are 2 other forces in nature stronger.
Help me.
Okay.
Realizing that I don't have any of your knowledge.
I realize that.
I wanted to make that clear.
Okay.
And I don't have any of your education, and I actually don't have your brain. Okay? So there are some of us who don't quite understand what you're saying.
That's my fault, not theirs. Actually.
No.
If they're not understanding that, to be clear.
No. It is that even the very basic, what you take for granted, basic elements of nature are like, what do you mean? So, all right, we were using the example of my best friend. I've thrown off the Empire State Building.
Yeah.
And they're falling. It takes 13 floors for them to accelerate to, 132 feet per second per second? I don't even understand what the other second is. 132 feet per second per second. What the hell is that?
Well, that's simple. You can understand this.
No, I can't.
No. It's 32 feet per second.
Even saying that's simple, I think, okay.
No, but listen to me. It's just a fancy way of saying what you already know. So that means in the first...
I don't know it! Well, that's why I'm asking you!
Well, the only way to learn is to let other people talk. So...
You're turning on me. I'm not going to talk about Star Trek at all.
Okay. No, I know this because my wife tells me that on a regular basis. But, so here's the deal. It's 32 feet per second. So the idea is it starts at rest. After 1 second, it's going 32 feet per second. After 2 seconds, it's going 64 feet per second, etc. It changes by 32 feet per second every second. That's all it means. So it increases.
But if I've reached the velocity, the terminal
Well,
velocity.
that's a different thing. That's the terminal velocity. That's if there's no air, you keep accelerating. In air, you slow down because there's air resistance. So eventually, in the Earth, you reach a terminal velocity.
Doesn't everything fall at 132 feet per second?
Well, in the absence of air.
But there's no absence of air. The air is around us. What does that mean? It's so complicated.
Well, no, but that's what's amazing about the way physics has progressed. And it's really one of the neatest things, is that the world around us appears to have properties and seems to be very complicated. And the really neat thing about physics is that we have realized that you can get rid of the complications, and underneath it's actually much simpler. And Galileo was the first one to realize that, okay, this air resistance is just a complication. Get rid of it. If I get rid of it, I realize all objects fall at exactly the same rate. All objects fall at exactly the same rate, which, you know, Aristotle and others have thought, well, big cannonballs fall faster than, you know, little objects, and the air resistance fact was just a complication, and once he got rid of that, we could understand nature.
Got it. So there's this tilting tower in Washington to where
With
Maryland.
Pisa, I think.
No.
Oh, what? I mean, he was
where they made the cannonballs in I think it's where they dropped the iron and formed a ball when the time it landed. There's a tower in Maryland or Washington. Where is it? In
Baltimore, Maryland.
That's
Okay.
Maryland.
Yeah, it is in Maryland.
So I mean, why are you complicating it? It's Maryland, Baltimore. It's Maryland. In Maryland, there's a tilting tower.
Yeah.
They dropped iron. It formed a ball. They had shot for whatever it was.
Could we do an experiment? I mean, could we do?
You want to drop me off the set?
No, I want to show. I did this. I did this once for the leaders of the free world. No, I want to show you the best way. That's why it's so great. That's why Star Trek is so great. One of the reasons is the only way to learn is to confront your own misconceptions. And Star Trek is great because there are a lot of misconceptions.
One of them was I was Captain Kirk.
No, that wasn't it. Well, okay, we won't do this, but it was, you know, a lot of people go to school and get told everything falls at the same rate, blah, 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 and it goes in one ear and out the other. And I was lecturing once for a lot of leaders of the free world turnout, and I said, and I had a book and a piece of paper, and I dropped them, and I said, which would fall, which would hit the ground first? And of course, they all said the book. And I said, why? And they said, the book is heavier. You try this at home, we won't do it now. Take the piece of paper and scrunch it up, and then drop it along with the book. They hit the ground at the same time.
They don't, Harry.
Yeah, they do.
No, a book
okay,
makes it
get me a piece of paper.
It's an air. The air is here.
Get me a piece of paper. You don't believe me?
Or you need a book.
Well, anything heavy. So here's a book, and is it written by him?
All right.
No,
Rip a
fine.
page.
Okay.
Rip a
No, I'm not
page
gonna
out of
page.
the
No, give me a piece of paper. Okay, let's open it up.
All right.
Here, you hold this.
Yeah. All right, wait, give me the book. All right. Well, we're going to go at the same time. All right. I'll go. 1, 2, 3, go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
Good, I'm changing fields now.
You should be an actor.
Yeah, I did. Yes.
You are an actor.
My mother told me that. Now let's try this. Okay, now I'm going to, I'm going to do this in a fair and unbalanced way. It means I'm holding both.
Okay.
That simple experiment, now they'll remember it. And the point is, this air resistance just gets in the way. So most of the complications in the universe get in the way, and the art of what science is all about is cutting through all the crap and finding the simple principles underneath it.
But you see, Larry,
Yeah,
the
Lawrence.
real world
but
has
it's okay.
air. The real world has air in it.
It does,
So-
but we can
so-
understand the air as an additional complication, but the fundamental force, it wasn't until Galileo showed that. If it wasn't for that, you wouldn't have had Newton. Newton wouldn't have developed the theory of gravity if Galileo hadn't said, you know, forgetting the air, the force that's pulling things down to the earth pulls everything at the same speed.
Okay, but that sounds pretty
These
strong.
people are so thrilled to get a physics lesson, I'm sure. They want to learn, they want to hear you.
I want to know, yes, but I want to know, so we're back to electromagnetism, right?
Yeah, okay.
So electromagnetism binds the electrons and the molecules?
You got it, yeah.
And forms matter.
And forms matter in the form that we know it, yes, absolutely.
Forms matter.
There's matter.
How can there be matter that we don't know?
There's matter that's in different types. It isn't,
Like what?
in the core of stars, matter has a very different form than it does in here. In neutron
But
stars,
it has solidity.
it has solidity, but very different type. Take a neutron star, which is basically the mass of our sun compressed into the size of Manhattan. Okay, every teaspoonful of material weighs about 10 billion tons, and that is one gigantic atomic nucleus. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
And a star collapses into that in a single second, in the last second of its life.
But it's still matter.
It's matter, but matter takes different forms, like water. You know. Okay.
It's still matter.
Okay. Good.
Okay. I love this.
Yeah. Well, you're the only one. They want to hear everything else.
All right, I'll leave this alone, except that was that strong electromagnetism or weak?
No, that was electromagnetism.
Well, what's the strong and the weak?
I was trying to tell you about it earlier. Okay.
I'm going to be quiet.
Oh, okay. No, so electromagnetism and gravity are the two forces we really know about because they're the ones we experience every day. But there are two other forces in nature, and they operate on microscopic scales, on the scales of nuclei. The weak force is responsible, in fact, for the nuclear reactions that power the sun. So it changes neutrons into protons and things like that. And the strong force is what holds quarks together inside of protons. And so, but the really neat thing, and one of the really greatest revolutions of the 20th century that people don't know about, which is why I was writing about it, is the amazing discovery that the electromagnetic force, which is long range, goes over the whole universe, and the weak force, which only operates over the size of the nucleus, are really the same thing. At a fundamental level, they're really the same thing. And in fact, it was related.
So one's stronger and the other's weaker.
But it's an illusion. It's an illusion, just like it's an illusion that paper falls more slowly than books. And we have to get. The
illusion is that one is stronger and one is weaker. That's an illusion.
On our scale, in the accident of our circumstances, they appear very different. But at a fundamental scale, they're actually, when you go to small enough scales in the nature, they're really different aspects of the same thing. And it's the Higgs field that causes the difference. And Higgs bosons. Bosons are what they have up in Canada and in Montana. But bosons are what we look for at the Large Hadron Collider.
But are bosons composed of bosons? So there you are, my friend.
You know, it's great.
Okay. So you begin to understand the not only the complexity but the confusion. And I read these articles all the time, and I try to acquaint myself, and I still don't get it. And
it takes a while. You know what I tell my students though? The first time you read something or learn something in class, you don't understand it, and the second time you say, "Oh, I've seen that before." Seriously, honestly, being comfortable with it, hearing it over and over again, makes it much less intimidating. Well, tell you what, we'll talk a lot. We'll do another cruise in 4 years, and you'll just be...
I can't wait for you.
Sure you can. You look pretty good to me. Doesn't it?
I don't like the word... I'm not fond of the word pretty.
Okay.
You look pretty good. That's a conditioner. That's a conditional on the word good, and I'm not sure, darn.
You look great.
Damn good. Use damn.
You look
mighty fine.
You look mighty
fine. Yeah,
fine.
mighty fine. That's
you look hot. I should get off stage. What do you think? Yes?
We knew each other some years ago. We did a show together, and we got to know each other a little bit. On this cruise, I met the boy chick.
Yeah, it reminded me of my uncle. It's true. It's true. He's a great guy, and in real life. And I'm honored to be up here with you. Really.
Thank you so much,
man. Thank you.
Lawrence, we will visit with each other more. Thank you, my friend. So Star Trek. So Star Trek was So these writers, these guys, you know, they would study like I would study some principle, weak and strong electromagnets. Yes, of course, a weak and strong electromagnet. It's all matter, and we're going to write it. But they write a show with some sheen of science in it, but science fiction writers don't need the math to prove they're right or wrong. So many scripts in Star Trek that had pretensions of science really was like, do we have the set to do this, or should we do something else? It was great science fiction has as its core and its principle something that is really valid, something that Lawrence Krauss would say, oh yes, that is a valid scientific principle, but then the writers move and make it work for them dramatically, and it doesn't always mean that it's scientifically true, except that the principle is the same. And that applied to a lot of Star Trek, none of which I can think of right now. So I thought then, having made these little forays that isn't Star Trek, that I would answer some of your burning questions as to what you want to hear from me. So there's a lady in red right there. But you don't have a mic, right? So now what you have to do is turn around, stand up and turn around, and in as loud a voice as you can, give me your question so everybody can. There's a microphone. Hold on. Save your voice.
It's actually not a Star Trek question. I just wanted to say that I really loved your performance in The Intruder.
Thank you.
And I was curious, given that there was a limited U.S. release at the time.
There was, wasn't there?
Did you get any particular feedback on people who liked your role or didn't like your role?
It won awards and stuff like that. The Intruder was a film, thank you. The Intruder is a film I did many years ago, and the name changed from release to release to Garbage Man. But it was based on a novel which was based on a true story by, he was a friend of mine too, he's dead now. Anybody know the name of the author of The Intruder? Science fiction writer, wrote for Twilight Zone and no. Anyway, it doesn't matter. There was a guy in New York City, he was a New Yorker, who was jailed for making racist speeches during the time of integration of the schools. And eventually he was released from jail, and he went down south. New York guy, out of the Bronx, or somewhere in New York, and started making racist speeches. Would go into some small southern town and say, you can't integrate the schools and gather around. And he was propelled into some kind of famous quality. He had renown for these racist speeches, which he may not even have meant, but he would go into any town and stand in a public place and rant and rave, and the people who believed what he was saying gathered around him, and he was a force. And what? What did you say? I don't know what you said. Doesn't matter. So, the author wrote a book, and they wrote a screenplay, and they asked me to play this part. So, the most dramatic moment of that, and to give you an inkling of the difficulties and the chance, the things that operate by chance in making a movie, was I had a lot of streaming to do. And during the day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I was yelling a lot, lost my voice on Wednesday night. And Friday night was the big moment for this racist character to make this horrible speech on the steps of the courtroom steps. And I said to the director, I lost my voice, I don't know. So we went to a doctor. The doctor said, "You'll be all right by Friday if you don't talk at all, Thursday and Friday day." So I went to bed, and I didn't get out of bed until Friday. And then I didn't want to check my voice out. I knew I had to make a speech. So Friday evening, we all meet, the cameras come. They had been on the radio in this small town saying, "Come on down to the courthouse tonight from 8 until 12 midnight, and you'll be in the movie." And hundreds of people came. And there was this traditional courtroom stairs and this beautiful tree that provided shade for the and the cameras were over my shoulder, and I began to speak, but I didn't want to do it I didn't want to do full force the performance over my shoulder angle. So I said to the director, "I'll just mime it." And so the people out front, and I wasn't speaking. So in due time, 2-3 hours, the hundreds of people melted away, and finally by midnight, when we turned the cameras around on me, everybody had gone. And then this way, where there were no people, I ranted and raved about rioting and lynching and all the terrible things that abounded there, and we finished the night, and we were gone. The next day, the director and I are walking on the street, and the local newspaper publisher said, "You guys," stopped us on the street, "You guys were brilliant." It was so brilliant. I mean, not to talk in front of the people and wait till they're, "What do you mean?" He said, "That tree that offers the shade on the courtroom steps, members of that crowd had lynched somebody not so long ago. And there's no telling what would have happened if those people had heard those words." And The Intruder was that kind of a film. We made it guerrilla style. We shot where we could. We picked up shots. We shot on that courtroom. We didn't get permits. And it's called The Intruder, and it won all kinds of awards during its time. But it had that kind of danger that was franche. That's not a Star Trek question, but it's a film question. Yes, please.
Well, welcome. And
Thank you.
during Plato's Stepchildren, I know
Plato's Stepchildren.
you have this wonderful red tunic going on.
I had a red tunic on?
I want to know what you were wearing underneath it, number one. I know that's very personal. But how was the atmosphere during the filming? Were you laughing? Were you cracking up? Because it's such a great episode. I just want to know, what was going on? How many takes did you have to do? Because it was just so amazing.
It was 50 years ago. We had 7 takes. I don't remember. I don't even remember. Plato's Stepchildren was the guy forcing us and the interracial kiss and all that. Right. Okay. As many takes as possible with beautiful Star Trek had a lot of gobbledygook in it, a lot of language that didn't make any sense if you were to analyze it. Hit the thruster, make sure the jack thing is on the front, get the front and get the brush and move to the left. It made no sense in our world, but in the world of Star Trek, it meant everything. So it was important for me to be absolutely deadly sure and deadly serious about knowing that those words from this futuristic character were real. And you had to live and breathe that reality. So whatever the words were that I had to say, by the time I had learned them, I had attached a real meaning to them. That meant that instrument tells us where that goes. And so I felt that instrument completely. So when I talked about it, I meant it. And then when it was time to lighten up, I knew the cast members, I knew the crew members so well that I was able as a captain to be jocular and I met the captain of our boat, the Norwegian captain. Lovely gentleman, gray hair, he was the captain. You know? And although I wasn't on the bridge at the time when we docked and when we left, you saw the way we left? We backed out. It was like 20 feet over there, 20 feet over there, and finally he turned the boat around, the ship, excuse me, and aimed out this narrow passage. There was cement pilings on one side and land on the other, 20 feet in between, and this giant boat. He just went around. So he is standing in the bridge, this wide windows, and he's got the remote in his hand, and the engines in the fore and the aft swivel 360 degrees, and he's able to move that ship around. Now, I wasn't on the bridge when he did that, but I know that the Norwegian company was depending on him to get that boat out of there without cracking into a rock, which would have meant we'd have to go back to Nassau, and have some more chicken. He was very serious about getting this. Don't say anything, that didn't happen. He was very serious about getting this ship out of here, and he had very little room. But he was on that bridge, carefully calculating what he had to do. And I just know, he was doing it by eye, although he had his Spock and McCoy over there on the bridge. He did. He had a little lady, she was about that high, and she's doing this, and he had all kinds of help, but it was in him, captain of the ship, to move the ship around and get it out of port. Backing up. He backed up in front of all those guys. Can you imagine all those captains of the other boats? There goes Jim. He's backing it. He's backing up, man. He's backing his boat up. Will he make it out? I don't know. Did he do it? Yeah, he got out the last time, but I'm not sure he's going to. You could just see it. Yeah. The gossiping captain. So. That kind of captaining is what I had in mind. So it didn't matter whether it was Plato's Stepchildren or any of the other stuff. Fighting the Gorn. But even fighting the Gorn, what a wonderful plot twist to get the elements of dynamite. Black powder, sulfur, and I had to find it and blow them up. I blew the Gorn up. I took it all very seriously, which is the element of your question. It is the strong and weak electromagnetism of your question. And I took it very seriously. I took what I was doing seriously, and yet I thought there was humor, great deal of humor in it, and that's why I played the role. Okay? Really another question. Gentleman in blue, right there. Stand up, so we can get you a microphone.
Okay. I got a question for you.
Yes.
What's your best advice for becoming a starship captain?
Wait a minute. Start again. I've got the guy in blue talking, and there's a ventriloquist. Who's talking? Hands up.
Over here.
Over here. Oh, that's rather passive aggressive. All right, I got you.
Ever since we're becoming a starship captain, what's your best advice?
What's my best what?
Advice.
Advice. Tone down your voice.
Sorry.
My best advice for you. Be kind and gentle to the next person next to you.
Okay, sorry about that.
No. Best advice as to what, sir?
For becoming a starship captain.
Oh, get an agent. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Lovely being with you. I wish it could be longer. I'll see you on the next cruise. Bye-bye.